Hey Coffee Clan, and welcome back to my channel. So it has been a while. I haven't seen you guys for a very long time. I really miss all of you, and I figured that since I've been absent for a while, it's only fair to come back to you guys with a recipe that I have tried a million times and I can vouch for. So my kitchen is pretty messy right now, as you can tell, because we just finished making a whipped matcha. Well, I mean, you guys are gonna see that I kind of did mess up on it a little bit because this drink is very difficult to craft and takes a lot of preparation and time. So I would say that this takes about 20 minutes to make, maybe even a little bit more than that if you're trying to get it perfect, but it is really good even if you do mess up. So this is a whipped matcha, and the drink is very, very tasty. I personally love this because I can't always drink coffee. I know, it's terrible, but my stomach does have a lot of issues and I can't always drink coffee. So whenever I have a day that I want something very good and sweet but I can't have coffee, then I go to this beautiful whipped matcha. And you can make it hot and you can make it cold. This one is the iced version. So if you guys are interested in seeing how I made this whipped matcha, then keep watching. Alright guys, so what you're going to need for the first part of this drink is a bowl. You're going to need a whisk like this, or you can use an actual whisk, but a matcha whisk is best. You're going to need matcha. I usually use this Teamy matcha, but I'm almost out, so I did order this new matcha. Have heard really good reviews on it, so we're going to try it and see how it tastes. It's important that we do the matcha step first as I adjust my camera, because if you don't, then while you're making your matcha, your whip part is going to kind of flatten and not going to have that whip consistency. So first we want to mix the matcha. I do 1 tablespoon of matcha, and I did kind of have to play around with the water proportions, but you want to try to do 2 to 3 tablespoons of water. Once you get your matcha in the bowl, it is good to break it up a little bit with a whisk because it gets really clumpy, and you're normally supposed to sift it, but I don't have a sift, and I found that if I just whisk it lightly and get all the clumps out, that usually does the trick. So once you have it whisked, you then want to add your water. So this is kind of what I was talking about. This is with 2 tablespoons of water. And as you can see, it is really, really clumpy. So we're gonna add a 1/3 tablespoon and then it will be smooth after that. So you're gonna have to mess around with it. Okay guys, so this is where it gets a little complicated. The next thing you want to do is take a 1/4 cup of sugar and a 1/4 cup of water, and you're going to put it on the stove until it boils. I do this step next because, again, when we get to the whip part, you'll see why, but just put this on the stove and wait for it to boil and then bring it over and set it aside when it's done. We're going to move on now to the actual whipped part of this drink. So you need a bowl, an egg, and an egg beater. You cannot do this with a regular whisk. You need a beater for this next step. So you're going to want to take your egg and you're going to want to separate the yolk from the egg white, because we only need the egg white for this part. You're not going to use the yolk, so you can just throw that away. But you're going to crack the egg, separate the egg, and then make sure that the only thing in your bowl is the egg white. Once you have it separated, take your beater, put it on a very high setting, and you're basically going to beat it until it peaks. So imagine you're making like a lemon meringue pie, and if you've ever made one of those, you know that like the top of it, you have to like wait for the egg to be very like frothy kind of, and that when you take your beater out, it makes those little peak forms. So this does take a while, but you just want to keep at it until it eventually forms into that egg white, more of a thick type of look. Now, again, this is a very complicated step. This is probably one of the most complicated steps in the process. you want to keep beating that egg as you pour in the hot water, the sugar with the water, but you can't pour it in too fast or else it'll ruin what you already did. So you want to pour it in really, really slow as you're beating. Now, if you do mess up, it's okay. I messed up so many times. I didn't mess this step up. I messed up the next step in this video. But as you can see, it's still thickening and it is still forming those peaks. But you just want to make sure that you pour the water in really slow, and then you want to stop beating as soon as the water is in there. You just want to turn off the beater. So we are going to mix the matcha in, but first you want to get your cup ready. So put some ice in it, or if you're making it hot, don't put ice in it. But you want to take your ice and your milk of your choice. I really like the taste of the Silk Almond Vanilla milk with the matcha because it adds a lot more sugar to it because matcha's pretty bland. So after you add that and you're done, just go ahead and set your cup aside, and we will move on to the next step, which is adding the matcha to this that we already mixed. So as you can tell, it's kind of a little bit watery because, well, it's a complicated recipe. But give your matcha another little whisk and basically just dump it all in. Now, this part is really hard because when you dump the matcha in, a lot of times it messes it up. I haven't really found a good way to do this yet, but basically after it's in, you want to mix it. But you want to mix it really, really quickly, and that's where I messed up. You don't want to beat it for any longer than you have to because it'll ruin the whipped part. It'll still taste the same, but it won't be as whipped as it could be. So as you're mixing it, just keep that in mind. I mixed it too long here, but if you mix it, you just want it to be like I would stop at this point. Now we're going to add the matcha to the milk. So normally it would be a little bit more whisk, but that's okay. We're using this pineapple spoon. Shout out to Honey Roses & Co. on Instagram. Their company is awesome, and I really, really love this pineapple spoon that I got from them. But you're gonna take your matcha concoction that we made that should be way more whipped than it is, but you know what? It's okay, it's still gonna taste good. And we're basically just going to add it to the milk that we have. And there you have it, guys. This is how to make a whipped, well, kind of whipped, matcha drink iced. Now, you can add creamer if you want. I find that it's a little too sugary if you add creamer, but if you really like a lot of sugar, then definitely add some creamer to it. But this is basically the finished product, and it tastes really good. Give it a little stir, get all that matcha mixed in with the milk, and I swear, guys, even if you don't like matcha, you probably will really like this, especially if you have a sweet tooth, because this is a very sugary drink. But it is very difficult to craft, so I hope that this recipe wasn't too hard to follow along with. Let me know what you guys thought, though. And I'm going to enjoy this matcha drink. Alright guys, and that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope that if you try this recipe, let me know how it turned out down below. I personally really, really love whipped matcha, and it is a very good, tasty drink, especially for the summer. So, thank you guys so much. I will see you guys next video, and until then, drink coffee or matcha, travel often. Bye.